Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's Tuesday, October 1st, 2019. Oh, yeah. It's time for episode number 36 of the News Freaks. I'm Eddie the Ed Man.
And I am Terry. Ed, welcome back, buddy.
It's great to be here.
It's great to see you. I feel like we've already done 2 or 3 shows.
I do. Terry and I were in a very productive and lengthy conversation before we came on air. But it was good, you know, to actually have a real heart to heart.
Yeah, it was nice. I came into the studio, you know, a regular time for recording here tonight, and we spent, I'd say the last 2.5, 3 hours just shooting the breeze, as they like to say.
Talking about horse shit.
Yeah, basically horse shit. Nothing like what we're going to be talking with you on the News Freaks.
Oh, no. We were talking about politics, and what I like about the conversation is that neither of us have changed even a little bit from when we started talking. So we could have just deleted that whole conversation. Like Hillary's emails.
Oh, there he is. We're standing in cement over here, you know. But anyways, hey, I am happy. I'm excited. I still feel good. I've got some beverages next to me, so I think I stay hydrated. I think the audience is in for a real treat tonight. It is another episode for the News Freaks.
That's right.
And
we're raring to go.
We almost had Rebecca back for another night. You know, Rebecca's been joining us here and there.
I wish she was here. I miss her soothing voice.
I know. She keeps us, she's like, literally, she's a rose between 2 thorns when she's here. But not tonight, unfortunately. Well, anyways, guys, again, another episode of the News Freaks. We thank everybody for listening. Again, real quick, get the house cleaning out of the way. Interact with the show, 904-300-2475. You can catch us on Twitter at NewsFreaksPod. Over there on Facebook, The News Freaks. And also hit up our website, thenewsfreaks.com. Send us any email correspondence at mail@thenewsfreaks.com. All right, Ed, man. So how you doing? You are feeling all right tonight?
Yep.
We have hit it. October 1st. We are 75% through the year.
That's a great stat. I'm glad you researched that.
So, if you want to give it a school grade as to how your year's been so far through right up until October 1st, what would you give it a school grade here?
A C+.
I'm gonna give mine a C+ as well, Ed man. So now you want to do yours a little higher now? You want to give it See, because I feel like mine's a passing grade for the year so far, but I feel like it could improve in the next couple months.
Well, we'll try. We've got a few months left.
We do. I'm gonna visit some family and friends coming up here really shortly. Do a little traveling, so that's going to be fun for me.
I see you're holding a dictionary again in your hands this week.
Man, Ed, we always got so much to talk about. I do want to just mention real quick from our special edition we just had last week. I don't know what the heck made me do this, but I was going back and forth between calling Fleabag star her real name and a made-up name. I was calling her Phoebe Waller-Bridges a lot of time. There is no S at the end. It's just Phoebe Waller-Bridge. So okay. I kept calling her Bridges for some reason. So I wanted to, you know, for the people that were going to fact check me out there, I wanted to get that out of the way there.
You know what I do? I think we've talked about this on the show before. I call Subways.
Subways, yes. I don't know if we've talked about this show, but sometimes the Walmarts, I've heard people say, let's go to Walmarts, you know.
But do they say the Walmarts?
I don't know if they say the
Let's
Walmart.
go to the Walmarts.
I don't know if they say
like that turn of phrase.
But anyways, well, I know one thing that's going to help improve your standing for the rest of the year. Your girl Tulsi Gabbard has gotten enough going here, so she's going to make that debate stage on the 15th.
Finally, a reason to watch the debates.
So you will definitely be dialed in when that comes around here mid-month. She'll join what? I said Tom Steyer had made it as well. I don't know, Marianne Williamson, she's still on the border, right?
I don't remember. Did she make it in?
She's very close if she hasn't as of yet. So we'll keep our eye on that. Also, Ed man, real quick, we'll talk football like we have at the top a few times. It's going to be real quick here. My Giants have won 2 in a row with their new rookie quarterback, Daniel Jones. So I'm back, baby. I'm back invested in football season. Unfortunately, my Mets came up a little short in their bid for a playoff berth, but they had a great year and they fought hard all the way to the end. Gardner Minshew, we're here in Jacksonville. The magic and the mania is just growing with every game this rookie plays. The Jacksonville Jaguars went into Denver this past Sunday.
Really?
They were down late, but the rookie led them back, and they won on a last-second field goal, 26-24.
So this might be big.
It's going to be big. The Jags are now 2-2. Every team in the Jaguars division there, the AFC South, is now 2 wins and 2 losses. Remember, we just talked about them being 0 wins, 2 losses, and you said they still have a chance, though, right? And here we are 2 games later, and they're tied for the top.
They're at a solid C.
Yes, they are. That is literally a solid C. One more note from this past weekend games.
Wait a minute, 50%. Isn't that a failing grade?
Well, in football terms, I think this is a C.
Yeah, I agree with that.
One more note from this weekend of football. Oakland Raiders linebacker Vontaze Burfict, and he used to play for the Bengals. He has kind of a reputation for being a little bit of a dirty player.
Who?
His name is Vontaze Burfict with a B. So not perfect, but perfect.
Yeah.
He actually was involved in another play this weekend. The Raiders were playing the Colts, and he hit a guy very, very late in the head with his own head and helmet, was ejected from the game, and just today the NFL announced that he has been suspended for the rest of the season. He will not be able to play again.
Sounds like a harsh penalty. What happened to the other guy? Was he all right?
He was probably concussed, I imagine. They took him off the field on a stretcher, but he has a history.
It's a dangerous game.
He has a history of doing this. He's been suspended for 4 games, 6 games here and there throughout the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
So maybe this guy just has an aggressive mentality and shouldn't be on a football field. You want guys with an aggressive mentality on the football field, but you don't want guys who want to paralyze someone and maim someone.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds illegal.
It is illegal, very much. So there was a comic on Twitter. Well, I don't know if he's a comic actually, but he's a comic writer. His name's Alex Sulkin, and he actually wrote a really funny joke about this. He said he's thinking of a new show. He wants to call it Perfect Strangers, where Vontaze Burfict gets put in a house with all the players he can cuss, but none of them remember him. And I thought that was very, very funny. Unfortunately, though, it's not a joke for the NFL. They don't want to see their star players, and any player for that matter, be really, really seriously hurt. And that's the stuff that they're trying to curtail against with these late hits, these helmet to helmet hits, these hits to the head, this kind of thing in the NFL. We want to
Yeah, it's a bad look for them.
It is a bad look, and the NFL doesn't need any more bad looks, because I told you, Antonio Brown, he's already gone through, and he's now back to school. He went back to school at Central Michigan University. He tweeted the other night that he had a paper due, and he spelled due, D-O, and he said, I need a proofreader, but he spelled it P-R-O-F. And so
he's a comedian too.
He's not trying to be. He really meant that, and he really misspelled those words. And somebody answered back, "Here's your corrections." He goes, "It's going to be a long semester."
Well, I mean, with the NFL, does he really need? He can hire somebody.
Well, now he needs it because he had 3 chances to play this year, and they're all out the window. He's blown them all. The Patriots released him. I told you that.
I don't remember the case here. Why did they do that?
Well, remember we talked about him. He got released by the Raiders in the just after the season was about to start because he was missing all these practices. He had hurt his foot. He refused to wear a helmet, blah, 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 blah. Then it came out that there were a couple sexual assault claims against him, but the New England Patriots scooped him up, and they decided to give him a chance. Well, they played him for 1 week. I believe it was week 2, and he caught a touchdown pass, actually. But after the game, the team decided to release him because there was another sexual assault claim, I guess, somewhere. So
there's smoke, there's fire. Huh?
Apparently. So Antonio Brown back to school. He's just like Rodney Dangerfield, going to try to go and make things right. Well,
he gets no respect.
Well, clearly not from the NFL this year. One more thing to open up the show here, Edman, and then we'll move it on to Newsthing 1. I did mention earlier that my Mets barely missed out on a playoff opportunity. The playoffs did start in Major League Baseball tonight. The Brewers and the Nationals kicked things off with a wild card. Now, in the wild card, if you make the wild card in baseball, it's only a 1-game playoff. The winner moves on, and the loser goes home after 162 regular season games.
Wow.
Those 2 teams played out for 1 game, and It's one or done for them.
It's a long way to go.
Well, the Nationals pulled it out in comeback fashion. They won 4-3 tonight, so they will move on to face the powerhouse LA Dodgers, while the Cardinals will face the Braves. That's the National League slate. And then in the American League, tomorrow night it'll be the Tampa Bay Rays and the Oakland A's. The winner of that game will get the Houston Astros, who are super, super good, and the Twins and the Yankees will play each other in that other matchup.
So what happened to the Brooklyn Dodgers?
Oh, Edman, you haven't watched baseball for a few years, huh, bud?
Since I was little.
All right, Edman, off we go to Newsthing. Ed, I went to the restroom before we started recording. Did you take a sip or two of my cocktail?
No, everything's fine.
All right, just making sure, my man. I've never seen you have a verbal stumble quite like that.
Trying to reach for the button at the same time as trying to talk, and motor actions are getting crossed up.
Again, that's why we need that damn intern. When is that hire going to happen? Well, when we can get some more listens and we start the Patreon up.
Well, let's get that college kid.
Oh, you mean, are you talking about Antonio Brown?
Yeah, it sounds like he needs to work.
What do you think he's going to take for a pay rate?
Probably a nice feel on your behind from what it sounds like.
Maybe I'll try $12.50 an hour first, and we'll see how that goes. Yeah. Well, anyways, Ed, man, we are off to Newsthing number 1. This is a pretty crazy story to kick things off with today, Ed. It starts off with a nice gesture, then it leads into a feel-good story, and then it leads to multiple instances of cancel culture, which we were talking about last episode.
You're going to say a beautiful climax.
No, you would think, right? But no, unfortunately not. So here it is. It all began September 14th when ESPN brought its wildly popular College Game Day show to Ames, Iowa. That is the home of Iowa State University. Okay. They were there to broadcast the in-state rivalry between the Iowa Hawkeyes and the Iowa State Cyclones. I mean, now as is tradition on the show, it's been a staple, pregame staple there on the network since 1987. Rowdy students will make homemade signs to show in the background of the commentators.
Sounds fun.
It is fun. Most of the time, they're like funny, they're trash talking the opponent, etc. Well, this week, the September 14th week there in Ames, one sign actually caught the camera's attention amongst many of the other ones, and viewers kind of locked in on it. It kind of like a national snowball, if you will, right? Okay. It belonged to a 24-year-old named Carson King. He's an Iowa native who had attended Iowa State.
So what sport is this?
This is college football.
Okay, college football, yep. ESPN hosting.
Yes.
The Hawkeyes
and the Cyclones.
The Cyclones.
And it's an in-state rivalry game, big game for them in the scheme of things.
And then this kid holds up a sign.
He holds up one of thousands of signs that kids have made, but the camera, he was behind the announcers on the show, and he held it up and the camera caught it and people at home really latched onto it. And here's what it said. Here's what it read, I guess. The sign's not going to say anything. It read, quote, Busch Light Supply needs replenished. Venmo, Carson, King, 25. So he's basically saying, I've drank all my beer. Yeah, give me some Venmo money.
Seems harmless.
Seems harmless. And you know what? It really was. King had gotten to the game at 5.
Now, how old is he, though?
24.
Okay, so everything's fine.
Yeah, everything's copacetic. Absolutely. Right. He had arrived at 5:30 in the morning for this game. You have to get to these college game days super, super early.
Right.
Because, I mean, it's a big event. Like,
do people camp out sometimes?
People do camp out. Your school will be lucky, especially a school like in Iowa State. You're very, very lucky to get game day to go. They usually go to like the big powerhouse schools. They'll go, your typical schools, Alabama or, Auburn or Clemson, Notre Dame, et cetera, et cetera. So for that to go to your school in a season, you're probably only going to get it one time. Yeah. So these kids want to be there. The student section wants to be there.
It's a big deal.
It's a big deal. If you're a sports fan, it's a big deal. So he got there early for this, we already called it, the biggest game in the state for the whole season. And he soon found, after they aired this segment where his sign was kind of prominently featured there, his phone was buzzing nonstop. Huh. Like he got thousands of notifications all of a sudden from his Venmo account.
Yeah.
Donations anywhere from 25 cents all the way up to like a couple $100.
Nice.
Right? It kept spilling in like nonstop. So a few hours after this sign was spotted, he had actually consulted with a few friends and family, trying to decide what should I do. Like this money is just pouring in now. Like what do I do? Do I just keep it or what?
Pay off a loan or
right?
something?
Absolutely.
Student debt.
Well, he took to his Twitter to announce a change in kind of his thinking. The tweet that he sent out at 1:53 p.m. Eastern Time.
He quit school.
It read, "I'm out of here. Thanks for the money, suckers." No, I'm only kidding. It did not
What
read
did he
that.
get?
Well, I will tell you and the listeners that, man. He said in that tweet, quote, "With all the donations my at College Game Day sign for at Busch Beer has received, I will be donating all but enough for a case of Busch Light to at U Iowa Children's Hospital."
Very nice of him.
We're at over 1,600 right now when he sent this tweet out at 1:53 on Saturday afternoon, the 14th.
Okay.
Needless to say, things kind of went a little crazy from here. As King was watching his Cyclones lose a 18-17 heartbreaker to the Hawkeyes, the donations just kept rolling in.
Yeah.
Eventually, Busch Light and Venmo caught wind of this story, and a few days later, both of the companies tweeted out that they would also be matching the donations that Carson King was able to pull in, and they would match that to the hospital as well, that children's hospital there in Iowa. Busch Light actually said they were going to throw in a year's supply of beer to Mr. King.
All right. Well, so far everything's coming up roses.
Everything is coming up roses. Like, if I stop this story here, everybody would just have a feel-good...
Yeah, I got a warm feeling in my stomach. I know you do from all that beer you're drinking there.
I mean, I think I've got these rosy cheeks here. I needed all that beer to actually listen to the 2.5 hours before we got on air of your rhetoric that you were spewing. Well, even better about that full year's supply of beer that Busch Light was going to give Mr. King there, it featured a picture of Carson King, a really good, well-done picture, said his name on the side of the can with the words Iowa legend.
Wow.
Yeah, this is...
Already.
This is a great story. Well, as College Game Day feature Lee Corso might say, not so fast, my friends. That's something he says when he, wants to make a point on the show.
Yeah.
College football fans will get it.
Yeah.
Even though the total raised has now reached the staggering amount of nearly $2 million.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
A lot.
And that would be $2 million from King's Venmo, as well as Busch Light, and as well as Venmo. So this is great. Things started to spiral downward, unfortunately.
Wait, when you say $2 million, you mean just from his Venmo?
Just from the donations that came in from that sign.
Are you including Venmo's donations and Bud Light's?
No, they're going to match that donation.
Bud, who's the beer company that contributed?
But it's Anheuser-Busch's InBev company is the parent company of Busch Light.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But no, that was $2 million on King's fundraising alone. And then the other two companies were going to match that to the hospital.
Got it.
So really, really nice. Well, the Des Moines Register, that's the paper. That's actually the largest newspaper there in Iowa. They ran a September 24th feature on Carson King. Okay, so this was 10 days after this game happened.
Yeah.
And it was, for the most part, really complimentary, detailing the casino security guard's whirlwind 2 weeks. But near the end of the article, reporter, and his name was Aaron Calvin, Aaron Calvin was the reporter's name. He mentioned 2 tweets of Carson King's from back in 2012 when King was 16 years old.
16. Irresponsible kid, yes.
One of them compared black mothers to gorillas, and the other made light of black people who lost their lives in the Holocaust.
Oh, my goodness.
Right. Now, when asked about the tweets, King said he was sick, saying that's not something that I'm proud of at all, and that he was embarrassed and stunned to reflect on what I thought was funny when I was 16.
Yeah.
I want to sincerely apologize.
Okay.
Again, I don't know what your stance is on this. At 16 years old, I mean... I don't think he meant any harm. In fact, I read somewhere that he kind of got it from a skit that was on Tosh.0. We've talked about him on the show. Probably not the best judgment.
Tosh 2.0, it's probably like, don't drag me into this. Come on, man.
It was mentioned in the article. It is a long time ago, and he's a 16-year-old kid, and they don't have any real notion of...
I mean, when you're that age, look, you're testing society.
Correct.
Right?
Absolutely.
I mean, you do things that
And I mean, in fact, and I did, I'm not just saying this to kind of stick up for the kid, because I mean, all he did was hold up a sign at a college football game. But 3 years later on his Twitter, so he was about 19, he had actually posted something saying that we all have to take a look at ourselves and try to treat people better and be better in society as a person. So he was growing up even even years ago.
Obviously.
I mean, as we all do, right?
But did they make a big deal of that one?
Yeah, probably not, right?
Probably not.
Well, soon after the Des Moines Register published this feature on September 24th, Anheuser-Busch, who we talked about is the Busch Light's parent company, Anheuser-Busch, they announced in a statement that it would have no further association with the young man, with Carson King, though they would still honor their agreement to match the funds for the hospital.
All right, great.
But no beer. The beer deal out the door.
No take backs.
They pulled the offer. It would have been 60 cans a month, so 720 total beers for Carson King.
Beer.
And the beers with his face on the side of the can, which is a pretty cool thing. How many times is that going to come up?
That is really cool.
I mean, you should see these cans, Ed. They were really well done. They were pretty good. Well, the story does not end there by any means, Ed, man. While the Des Moines Register stood by its decision to include those 2 social media posts in the story, critics slammed the paper, and businesses throughout Iowa boycotted Busch Beer. And even more importantly, people started to take a look at the reporter of the story, Aaron Calvin.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. No. Yeah. And it wasn't good for Mr. Calvin.
Really? What did this fool do?
Yeah. In now deleted tweets from 2010 to 2013, Calvin repeatedly used the N-word.
Oh, my goodness.
He wrote several posts reading, excuse my language, "fuck all cops." And in reaction to the legalization of gay marriage, he said he was totally going to go and marry a horse now.
Wow.
So again, you see how this story is just kind of snowballing and taking on a life of its own.
Right, it totally is.
Now, Calvin was forced to come out and tweet an apology of sorts. He said, quote, "Hey, just wanted to say that I have deleted previous tweets that have been inappropriate or insensitive. I apologize for not holding myself to the same standards as the Register holds others." End quote. Well, this was to no avail, Edman. This past weekend, Calvin was fired by the Des Moines Register. Yes.
Oh my goodness.
The 27-year-old Calvin, actually, this prompted him to blame the firing on a whole campaign taken up by right-wing ideologues.
Oh, yeah, those guys.
Unreal. This thing is just like from a great story. It just totally, and this cancel culture we mentioned on our last episode.
So this guy's saying the N-word, and then he's mad at right-wingers for banning him?
Listen, I'm just saying I'm just reporting this news thing one here, Edman.
I wonder if Busch is going to ought to give him a year's supply of beer and then just take it back right away and just kind of make it even. Like
put a story. Give him a can. Aaron Calvin, Iowa's racist.
Maybe they could make it like a double header and put their face on either side of a can.
Oh my God. Good versus evil. They just split the can down the side. That's really it. Well, this is proof that cancel culture is definitely something real and here to stay in today's world here, Edman.
I heard cancel culture was just a conspiracy theory.
It's really not. Clearly. People going back to look at tweets of anything. Anybody makes the news is like, well, let's see what this person was up to years ago.
Thank God we're too old to use Twitter effectively, huh?
Oh, yeah. I mean, my tweets, I can barely do the hashtags. They've got misspellings. They don't have misspellings because I'm I try to be very good on that. But they do have kind of incoherent ramblings of jokes that I think are funny at the time that have nothing to do with anything sensitive that might be misconstrued.
Well, it's not sensitive now.
Oh my God.
But in the future,
5 years from now when I go on college game day, hold up a sign that says my beer fund needs replenished. And that was funny too. Carson King said Busch Light needs replenished. Not replenishing, and I think I figured out why.
Why?
Because I could see the sign. Yeah, he misjudged his letters, and you can see a picture of the sign when you go online.
It's charming, though.
It is.
For a racist.
He's like, replenish. Oh, God, I got replenish. That's good enough. Screw it. Nobody's going to see this. Well, clearly, for his part, King did take responsibility. Says he wants to perhaps follow in his dad's footsteps. He's been a cop for like 27 years.
I thought he was going to be a drunk.
Or now now with his newfound knack for fundraising, he thinks he might want to switch and find a career in that. But either way, I think this says a lot as to where we are in this country. If you want something good to happen to you, delete your entire social media.
Well, that's the wipe now. I don't know why it does that. That's how it is.
At once, you know what, Ed? You remind me kind of when they used to do those testing on those lab rats, and they used to get the cheese and they put it in the same spot, but they'd get a zap of electricity every time.
Yeah.
But you still keep pressing it. You still keep going with that wipe.
Well, I paid for it. I don't want to waste it.
I mean, it's on there. I got to use it. Well, anyways, Ed, man, off we go. It's game time.
Yay!
Game time. Although, unfortunately, no Rebecca to help. See, this is how I strategically did it. I let you host the show where Rebecca could help me.
Yeah.
But now, no Rebecca, you're on your own once again.
That's a surprise.
It's a real surprise, isn't it? Well, last week, we did our special edition episode on the Emmys. We do want to thank Rebecca again for joining us. She is great as always.
Yeah,
right?
she really is good.
I mean, she's really going to steal our jobs at some point. One of us will be replaced, and it'll be Rebecca and one of us.
No, we're staying. You know what we should do is we should get Nicole on.
Yes.
And have those two compete for the third
chair.
Oh,
that'd be great. Nicole, actually, for those of you that don't remember, we did a special edition where we tried to break a few Guinness records of eating, and Nicole was the moderator for that episode. If you want to go back and check that one out. All of the third chairs we've had have been fantastic. We've enjoyed them immensely.
Yeah.
And I like trying to find new ones that we can just compete. And pretty soon we'll have a Hunger Games atmosphere in here where they're going to have to compete and see who gets the third chair because they're all clamoring to come back on the show.
And we'll make them also, in addition to, just seeing who's better on air, we can also give them like stupid weapons. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know, blow up sticks or something like that.
Pillows?
Yeah, pillows.
Okay. So now we're getting into kind of like a Showtime After Dark movie.
Well, I didn't want to say pillows because I didn't want to go in that direction, but
but I did, and that's where it went. Yeah. Well, anyways, Ed, so we just covered the Emmys, the Best of TV last week. And we just covered one of my favorite topics in Newsthing 1, which is cancel culture.
Yeah.
No, that's not true. I meant beer. So it got me thinking of some way that I could do a game time where we could blend the two. And I came up with a fun game time for you. We're going to talk about some famous fictional beer brands used in TV shows. Okay? That's going to be your game time for today, Ed, man. How you feeling about this one?
Pretty bad because there's probably not a whole lot of those.
Well, you'd be surprised.
And then there's probably even less that I could think of.
Well, you'd be surprised, but I'm not going to make you guess what was the beer that was in the show. I'm going to kind of give you questions that you can feel your way around.
Well, then if I have the chance to kind of, look at it from that angle, I probably, I'm pretty good with these context clues or whatever you want to call them, these hints and things. So I'll probably do pretty well.
All right, Edman. Well, let's get started, listeners.
I'm going to call 80%.
Ooh, that's nice. 80%.
If I'm getting like these hints.
Okay, well, I mean, I try to write these questions that don't leave you out in the middle of the ocean here. I mean, I give you some chance to grasp on.
Is that an expression?
It is right now that I just said it.
Middle of the ocean.
Yeah, just out there with the buoy. I don't want to do that to you. So anyways, listeners at home, get your thinking caps on. It's game time. Let's see how you do on this fictional beer breweries / cans in TV shows.
Let's just do it.
Okay, let's just do it. Question number 1. Can't get enough of that wonderful duff is the slogan for the beer on what long-running TV show?
That would be, of course, The Simpsons.
Of course, The Simpsons. The beer that makes your day fly by is Duff. And man, well, of course, they have the Pitch Man. He's the Duff Man, right? They also, I like that they have the beer theme park. You ever seen an episode where they do the theme park and they have
I feel like I have
the 7
seen
Duffs
at some point.
I don't remember. Well,
that.
they have, and this is perfect for a beer theme park, I think. The 7 Duffs are sleazy, queasy, surly, edgy, tipsy, dizzy, and my favorite, remorseful.
That's very funny.
It is very funny.
I stopped watching The Simpsons when the animation started getting good.
You're right. The old episodes, you can really see how they were just
They were terrible.
Getting their feet wet there. Well, while Matt Groening, he's obviously the creator of the show, he stated he will not license the Duff trademark to brew over concern that would lead kids to drink. Universal Studios actually did start officially offering licensed Duff beer in the Simpsons park. Yeah, near the Simpsons ride and in the Springfield area of the park. It's also brewed in several other countries, but they're all different breweries. They call it Duff beer in like 6 or 7 different countries, but it's not the same brewer. So people just like that name. I think The Simpsons are a global show, obviously.
Yeah.
So, hey, if you want a Duff, you can easily get one. Just can't get it in your local.
Love the name too. Very creative.
Duff beer.
Yeah,
it is. Really sounds like something that just a guy who spent all his days in the bar would give me a Duff. It's been a horrible day. Question number 2. In this award-winning show that ran from 2008 to 2013, DEA agent Hank Schrader brews his Schrader Brow to, as he says, silky perfection in his garage. 2008 to 2013. We actually mentioned it on the Emmy episode last week. DEA agent Hank Schrader, he brews that Schrader Brow there on this show.
Oh my goodness! Is this Breaking Bad?
It is Breaking Bad,
wow,
Ed Man.
Nice.
Great guess.
Wow.
Great guess. Yeah, Hank always was proud of his brew. He'd always want to bring it over and give some to Walter, and they enjoyed a couple Schrader Brows.
Yeah, I think I told you last week. I watched the first episode of Breaking Bad. I was like, oh, this is going nowhere.
I really wish you'd put it on the queue, man.
Boy, was I wrong about that.
It's really, really, really good. Okay, question number 3. So far, so good, man. Ed Man, 2 for 2.
Yeah.
A classic 1991 SNL beer ad featured Adam Sandler and Chris Farley drinking this beer amongst a bunch of hard-body dudes.
I thought you weren't going to make me guess the damn beer. You want me to remember the beer off of a single skit?
I could remember this question if somebody had given it to me. Phil Hartman narrated this skit. It's a very, very famous commercial. You know how they do the commercial. This is one of their top commercials they ever did.
Yeah.
It's actually been turned into a meme and a GIF and everything.
Really?
Yeah, pretty popular. I don't think you're going to get it, though.
I think you're right. Okay, what is it?
It's Schmidt's Gay. Schmidt's Gay. What happened? They were house sitting and there was this crappy pool there, and then all of a sudden the pool's like magical and it turns into this great pool, and it's just all these like hunky looking dudes, and they start drinking this Schmidt's Gay. What I thought was funny, the original song used for this sketch was the 1979 Van Halen song Beautiful Girls, which I thought was very funny.
How has Saturday Night Live not been affected by cancel culture yet? I mean,
they're on their way. We talked about
the get old tweets.
Yeah.
Then you ought to look at what the old skits they ran are terrible.
I know,
terribly offensive.
But I think a lot of these shows are like this now. I think you got away with a lot more. I mean, you look at some like even a movie like Blazing Saddles or something like that, where there was jokes that you could never get away with.
I've still not seen that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I think the times were different and people just didn't care. You look at All in the Family or the Jeffersons. I mean, they had that kind of Archie Bunker kind of.
I think what happened was people used to have a sense of humor, and they realized that these were jokes.
This is true.
And I feel like now everybody has access to Twitter. And so you have a bunch of kind of like kids on there, and they don't know that it's a joke,
right? So they take it too serious. Yeah. I mean, trust me, I love a joke as much, and you got to compartmentalize it. It's a joke, man. You know, there's no, and we talked about it in our last episode. There's no harm or vitriol behind it. You've got to that's what it is.
You know, I saw a story about they said, I wish I could remember. We'll just go on, but it concerned Andrew Yang. And he said that he wasn't offended over something that somebody had said about Asians. And then they got mad at him.
And you know what's going to happen, Edman, after
I don't remember what the original reason was, so I can't say if it was offensive in my opinion.
No, but just after the show, for the listeners at home, Edman is going to say 5 minutes after we stop recording, oh my God, I remember that. I can't believe I forgot that.
Yeah, that happens.
Well, anyways, just to close up that little sketch there, due to licensing costs and agreements, now that in repeats, if you see SNL on, if you saw this sketch repeated on I know they show it on E sometimes, like the repeats, it's been replaced by like generic guitar riffs. They don't even use the original Van Halen song anymore, which I thought was pretty funny. All right, question number 4. Airing from 2005 to 2014, this CBS comedy created a character played by Will Forte named Randy Warmpiss, a colleague of Marshall and Barney's, who actually opened up a microbrewery for his Warm Piss beer. So they actually created a character just so they could get this Warm Piss beer joke in.
Yeah.
CBS comedy 2005 to 2014. I guess the clue there is he was a colleague of Marshall and Barney's. Those are two fairly prominent characters on this show.
Could you repeat the question? No, I'm just kidding. No, I have no idea in the world.
It is How I Met Your Mother. It's the slogan was, it's not beer, it's Warm Piss.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the joke they wanted in there. They wrote this character in just for this.
I hear it's a funny show.
It had its moments. I
have up to now not seen any evidence.
There was a lot of episodes. We talked about this on our ending. Remember our series finale episode where we talked about how some fans were not happy with the series finale? Right. Yeah. I guess on that show, that Warm Piss beer, the beer wench featured on the bottles, kind of like the St. Pauli girl. It was actually modeled after Robin, who is the main female character on that show, because Randy Warmpiss kind of had a little crush on her there. So. Okay, we're going on to question number 5. Pawtucket Patriot Ale is the beer of choice down at the Drunken Clam on this long-running Fox series.
Fox series, Drunken Clam.
Yeah, Pawtucket Patriot Ale.
That's got to be SpongeBob SquarePants.
It is not.
No.
It's run for 18 seasons now. I mean, of course, that means it's an animated show.
So Fox animated 18 seasons. Fox animated. That's not The Simpsons. It has to be their other show, which is Family Guy.
There you go, Edman. It's Family Guy. Pawtucket Patriot Ale.
How many seasons?
It's on its 18th now.
You're kidding me.
I'm not. Yeah.
I've been meaning to see that show since season 1. I've seen like the first 1 or 2 seasons of Family Guy, and then that was it.
Jeez.
But I hear that I watched it while it was still funny.
You know what? People are on either side of the fence on this. I always hear that it's kind of the Family Guy versus South Park kind of crowd. It's kind of like split down the middle.
Yeah,
South Parkers and Family Guys are at odds as to which is funnier.
Now, I know you like flashbacks, but I remember when I watched it, they were doing it like every 2 seconds. I was like, I mean, you heard something and you're like, let me guess, it's going to be a flashback. Right. And then it's like a flashback. It's like,
I'll be honest, I'm either way on it. I've turned it on like late at night just trying to fall asleep and laughed at some of the jokes. It's not something I go out of my way to watch, but I think it's decent.
I saw their Cool Whip bit a while back. I thought that was pretty funny. Whip, yeah. Cool Whip.
Who pronounces it that way? Well, Peter Griffin also works in the shipping department of the brewery there on the show, that Patriot Brewing, and they're set in the fictional town of Quahog, Rhode Island.
I'll have to ask Stewie.
Yeah. Question number 6. Airing from 1987 to 1997, this show featured Girly Girl beer. It was a staple beverage of the No Ma'am Club. That was the National Organization of Men Against Amazonian Motherhood, talking about cancel culture and shows getting away with stuff.
Oh my God, this would be the #1 canceled show. Married with Children.
Absolutely right. And Married with Children. Ed, man, I remember being a young kid and going to bed on a Sunday night, and my parents downstairs watching this and just laughing their ass off. And I knew that it was inappropriate for a child of my age, but I didn't know why. I didn't understand why. Obviously, that No Ma'am Club, that was a club that Al Bundy ran out of his garage.
No, ma'am.
They discussed beer and women and et cetera. It was just kind of like a boys' club, like a man cave, a modern day man cave, I guess. For that.
Well, this place next door.
Yes, well, which is not in service tonight. They are not partying tonight.
Yeah, amazing.
Which is rare. A Tuesday night, that's usually one of their go-tos. Well, anyways, one episode, I do remember the beer's mascot got replaced with a picture of Yoko Ono. And the much to the dismay of the group, they were not a fan of that change. But yeah, you do talk about a show that really pushed the limits, especially. It's actually still remains Fox's longest running non-animated series ever. Right. Yeah, Married with Children, 10 years. Question number 7. From the lukewarm headwaters of the mighty Brazos River comes Alamo beer, Drank religiously by the buddies on what animated show? We're seeing a theme here. A lot of these.
Alamo beer. Though that's got to be South Park, I guess.
It was not. It was not. This show ran on Fox again from 1997 to 2010.
Is this American Dad?
It is not. It is not.
Fox show.
Yep.
What were the years again?
97 to 2010.
Oh my goodness. What's the one with Fry and the space thing?
No.
It's not?
No.
I don't know what it is then, I guess.
King of the Hill.
Oh,
Hank and his buddies.
Yes.
Hank actually claimed it won the Munich Beer Festival of 1849 as well. But yeah,
I saw a few episodes of that.
Alamo beer was kind of the clue there because they are set in Texas there. He runs the propane.
As we go through these shows, I really like animated shows, and I'm astonished at how few of them I've actually seen.
Yeah, it is something. And I'm astonished when I was, researching this, how many that were there that had really long, successful runs that weren't, old school kind of animation. Question number 8, airing from 1995 to 2004. This ABC comedy show introduced us to Buzz Beer, another garage brew that was a combination of coffee and beer sold at the Warsaw Tavern.
Man, what channel was this on?
This was an ABC show from 95 to 2004. It was named after its star. It was named after the star.
Jackie Chan?
The Jackie Chan Show, the very famous ABC comedy.
No, what are we... I have no idea.
That was the Drew Carey Show.
Oh, of course.
They drank down at the Warsaw there. According to Louis Kiniski, he was Ryan Stiles' character there, said the combination of caffeine and alcohol should be more addictive than heroin, but so far sales haven't borne that out. But again, they were able to get it sold at the Warsaw. And here's a funny thing. This was kind of ahead of its time because now I've seen 2 or 3 of these. I saw PBR just released a coffee-based brew. And I believe there was another one, too, that I just saw come out with a... Because people love... You put 2 things together that people love. It'll taste like shit, but they'll drink it.
Yeah. Well, some of these things, they seem like a joke at a time. I remember when... I can't remember what razor it was that threw an extra blade on there. And then Mad Magazine came out with this parody where they had this razor with like 5 blades on it or something. And then they actually came out with that.
Because it just used to be 1 blade and people were just like, screw my face. I don't care about it. I'll scrape it up. I remember shaving with those old ones. It was not fun.
It wasn't bad.
It was pretty bad.
Really?
I have sensitive skin, Ed. Look at me. I got baby skin. Question number 9. Airing from 1999 to 2013, this animated show brought us Benderbrow, brewed inside one of the show's main characters.
Oh, now that has to be the space one. If only I can remember the name of the damn thing. Oh my goodness, the Bender and Fry and this.
You got
all
the
I
characters.
Can think of is Third Rock from the Sun, and I know that is the show with John Lithgow in it, and that's not animated.
No. Yeah, you're right there. I'll give it. It's a 1-word title. It starts with F.
Fuck.
That is not it. That is not it.
F friendship. No, a Futurama.
Yes,
indeed. My goodness.
You were going to hate yourself if you missed that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I already knew. I could see the hate bubbling up inside you.
I was turning to Darth Vader.
Yeah. Well, anyways, Bender, of course, he's the robot now. He's probably the favorite character on the show of a lot of people, including myself, right? He had to drink heavily just to function. And if he didn't drink, he'd become the robot version of drunk.
I don't know.
Basically.
Now, Futurama, I really liked a lot. Another
my
show
buddy really liked it too.
I only saw about the first season.
My buddy Brad, who we've talked about on the show here, and he listens. Hey, Brad, what's up, buddy? I know you were a big Futurama fan. No, this guy, this Bender, he just swears, he drinks cigars, he smokes, he's a kleptomaniac, he asocial, egocentric. He's everything that you would want a character brewing beer inside them to be, right?
Fry was always my favorite character.
Fry was good. Yeah, Fry was good.
But he didn't really have... I feel like a lot of times they try to make him like the
straight man. Yeah, I agree totally. But you know what?
That really isn't...
That's not his character. That's not who he is. Yeah. You gotta let him fly.
I mean, the guy locked himself in a freezer, right? Is that what happened? I can barely remember. I think he locked himself... Oh, was he trying to get drinks or beer or something, and he locked himself in something.
You know
and
what
then-
we need to do? We need to get our listeners on board to send all their old DVD collections of these animated shows and let the Ed Man borrow them for a little bit. He'll talk about them, review them. I mean, what the hell? I know Ed Man's not big on the streaming services.
You know
like
what?
the
We'll
rest
do
of us.
that. We'll do that one episode at a time. We'll do a little review of them.
That would be fun.
nice.
Speaking of an earlier, before we get to question 10 here on Game Time, we talked about Breaking Bad again this segment. That Breaking Bad movie is coming to Netflix in maybe next week. I think the 11th or something like that.
The movie.
Yeah, that is going to be a good one. My buddy Russ wanted to discuss that one. Maybe we could all watch that when it comes out, kind of discuss the Breaking Bad movie, because there is definitely people are pumped for this movie.
But I would want to watch the season. How long has this show gone on for?
Oh, man, it was 5 years, Ed, man.
That's
it went
all?
for 5 seasons, yeah.
I feel like it should have been longer.
I think they did it perfectly, because again, you don't want a Game of Thrones situation where they kind of go past their expiration date. This did not. This show really, I think, was tight, and it was right, and where they ended was where I felt good about. But now we're going to have this movie, and of course they did Better Call Saul as well. Bob Odenkirk's the star of that on where's AMC that's on, and that's doing really well. That people love that. That's kind of the prequel to Breaking Bad.
We're almost done with the game time, because all this talk of beer is making me want to take a piss.
Oh, man, we're going to have to take a break. One more. Question number 10. Based on the Milwaukee brew Schlitz, this brewery was the workplace for Lenny, Squiggy, and title characters Laverne and Shirley.
Let's smaller. This would be Laverne and Shirley. Yeah. What am I guessing?
You're guessing the beer on this one.
The
Ed.
beer.
Yeah. It's based on the Milwaukee beer brew Schlitz. This brewery was the workplace for Lenny and Squiggy, and also Laverne and Shirley.
Oh,
famous
jeez, come
show.
on. This is the one in the opening, right? Where they're all there.
Yeah. Bottle cappers were Laverne and Shirley. Delivery
goodness.
drivers, Lenny and Squiggy.
Oh,
Sounds a lot like Schlitz, if that helps you at all.
I don't know.
Shots. With a Z at the end. The show, we talked about this in a previous episode with the Penny Marshall kind of retrospective there. Ran from 76 to 83. I don't know if you remember the theme song to that one, Ed, man. It was Making Our Dreams Come True.
Yes,
indeed. You clearly do. You remember who sang that one?
No, who sang that?
Her name was Cindy Greco. You talk about a one-hit wonder. She actually did the song for that. It went all the way up to, I forget where it ended up, but it did chart on the Billboard charts at one point. Yeah, it did.
She sang the hell out of it.
She did. Well, here's a funny thing that I had no clue. In the 70s, ABC came out with another sitcom, another one of these kind of spin-offs from Happy Days.
Yeah.
I don't remember this at all. Maybe you do. It was called Blanksy's Beauties. Do you remember this show?
No.
Not at all. It only lasted 13 episodes before it was canceled. It ran from February to June of 77. I wasn't even born yet.
Yeah.
But she did the theme song for that, Blanksy's Beauties, as well. But she was truly a one-hit wonder at that time. And that's going to close out Game Time. You weren't a one-hit wonder, Ed. You did about 50%. You got a solid C.
Nice.
We're going to call that one an F, actually. All right, Ed Man, off we go to Newsthing number 2.
Terry, you still got a pretty sizable deck of cards
Man,
there in your hand.
We're not fooling around anymore, Ed. You know what? We want to give the people, we want to jam as much content into their silly little brains as we can.
And you had a pretty sizable number of bottles stacked up over there. It looks like bowling pins, man. What? Are you just drinking nonstop for the beer thing,
Listen,
or is that just your normal way from now on?
It's a beer episode, Ed, man. We got to have some brews. I listen. Don't look at the label, but those are St. Pauli Girls NAs. You don't have to look at those.
I'm just saying you can take a breath.
All right. Anyways, Ed, man, we were just talking about Cindy Greco there, that hit song "Making Our Dreams Come True."
Yeah.
I wasn't quite sure. It actually peaked at number 25. On the Billboard Hot 100 charts, July 4th, 1976.
Is that still considered a hit?
Yeah, I'd say so. Top 25. That's pretty good.
That's pretty good. I wouldn't mind getting a top
No,
25
me
song in
neither.
there.
Me neither. As you heard at the end of our Emmy episode, you threw a little ukulele Ike in there on us.
Yeah, that's right. Now, what would a record label, do they still call them record labels?
I believe so, yeah. I think that works.
What would a music label pay you if you were a consistent top 25 producer but never cracked the top 25?
That's a really good question.
Usually he hits 26, 27, 28,
Honestly,
top 50.
I would, that's a great question. I would want to throw that to some of my music people in the industry and see what they would think about that.
What about a consistent top 53er?
Now that you might have to self-publish. I don't know how that would work. But anyways, as we mentioned with Miss Greco there, that was her only song to go anywhere. That's a true one-hit wonder, right, Ed?
Yes. What's your point?
Well, I'm glad you asked. Last Wednesday was, we missed it. It was the day after we recorded, but September 25th, that was National One Hit Wonder Day. And
man, that's where this is going.
You see,
yeah.
I'm always taking you on a little journey. We might take a back road here and there, but I'm always taking you where we need to go.
Sometimes the road is long and winding.
Well, this is where we celebrate our favorite tunes by artists who got it right just one time, Ed. Right? Hey, listen, I don't think it does. I think they do all right. Well,
better to be a has-been than a never will be.
Oh, that's perfect. I put that on my gravestone. So I thought it'd be fun for us to look back on some iconic one-hit wonders. And I actually this past week, I asked Newsfreak listeners on both Twitter and Facebook to kind of give us some of their favorites. So we're going to be sharing those with everybody as well.
To see that. People responded?
They did.
That's so odd.
It is.
Normal.
Ed,
it's
stop.
normal.
Listeners, again, anytime you interact with us, we are hot on it, and we are listening to what you have to give us feedback. Good, and we haven't got any bad feedback yet. I can't believe it.
I know, it's so strange.
Do you delete those before I get to see them?
No, not at all.
Okay, well, anyways, one more time, 904-300-2475 if you want to interact with the show. Come back. You're going to hear some of the fans that listen to us, what they like. You're going to hear what I like, maybe what Ed likes, who knows. But if you want to get in on the conversation a little bit late, let us know. Hit us up on that text line. So, before we share our own personal faves, I do want to go back to VH1's 2002 list of the 100 greatest one-hit wonders. They found 100 of these babies, Ed. I'm going to give you some of my favorites from that list.
This is from 2002?
Yeah. So obviously there's a lot more that have been added into the collective consciousness here. But a lot of our listeners said some of those. I think I did as well. If you want to check out that list, listeners at home, you can just go to vh1.com and check out 100 Greatest One-Hit Wonders. Here it is.
Check out Madonna's latest video.
Yeah, she probably has one. I know she just released some new music, Ed. But anyways, here's what VH1 at the time, 2002, so they were only 17 years ago. This is what they thought were the top.
Scant 17 years ago.
Just going to go through, we're not going to go through all 100, but we're going to go through some of the highlights here. At 100, Kung Fu Fighting by Carl Douglas.
Oh, that was a great one.
Was everybody Kung Fu Fighting?
I think that's why they made a song, because everybody was Kung Fu Fighting.
They're fast as lightning, from what I remember. 99 was Blind Melon, No Rain. Remember that song?
I thought you were going to say 99 bottles of beer on the wall.
I'm halfway there, Ed. I'm not there yet. I can't sing that yet. Blind Melon, that song No Rain. You remember that one, right?
No, I don't. No Rain.
All I can say is that my love is pretty.
Oh, yeah, that's a good song.
Yeah, that was 99. 98, Stacy, Two of Hearts.
I hated that song.
Yeah, that was pretty weird, right? 97, Tag Team, Whoop, there it is. Tag Team, back again.
Yeah, that's a good one. Okay. They only came out with one.
Yeah, that was it. 94, Four Non Blonde, What's Up? Remember that song?
Afraid I don't.
I say, hey, what's going on?
Oh, that was by who?
Four Non Blondes.
All right, I thought that was like by
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah. That's like a karaoke song that I always end up hearing when somebody gets like last call time. The girl wants to.
What's the name of that female country singer? Not to be, but she kind of looks like a lesbian. Do you know who I'm talking about? from a long time ago.
Now, if I get this, or Katie Lang.
Katie Lang, thank you.
But I get it right, but now it makes me look like, oh, yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about. I mean, but she is.
Well, we could use the publicity.
She is a lesbian, so it's okay. But what song were you
The
thinking?
shoe fits wearing.
You
right?
thought she sang that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, she doesn't. 91, Eddie Grant, Electric Avenue. We're going to rock on down to. Is that what do you say? We're going to rock down to Electric Avenue.
He only came out with one?
That's it. What do you mean? That's surprising? That song wasn't anything terrific.
I thought you were going to say it's surprising because this is a list of one-hit wonders. Of course, he only came out with one.
I should have said that. 89. Now, this one we can scrap from the one-hit wonder list. At 2002, it could have been called it, but now it can no longer be called a one-hit wonder. Achy Breaky Heart, Billy Ray Cyrus.
Back then, Billy Ray Cyrus was a one-hit wonder?
Yeah.
That's so funny.
He's not anymore, though, because he just did Old Town Road with Lil Nas X, and now he's like that was like the hottest song all year.
Right.
So he's no longer. We got to scrap him.
The chart is outdated.
It is outdated. 88.
Which is a surprise because it's only 17 years old.
Mostly not outdated, though, to be honest. Mostly not outdated. 88, Barbie Girl by Aqua. That was a pretty annoying song, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I don't know. There's something about it.
You kind of liked it? Yeah. 87, Thelma Houston, the disco anthem, Don't Leave Me This Way.
I feel like they knew that it was annoying when they were making it, and they were kind of enjoying how annoying it was, you know. Don't Leave Me This Way. Let me tell you something.
That's a party starter,
song.
Right?
That song is an amazing song. You're telling me Thelma Houston only came out with one?
She actually did. Hit? She did win a Grammy for it, though. I mean, so if you're gonna do it.
One for one.
But that's a party starter. You play that in any old party.
What a voice that lady had. You're one.
I know.
One hit.
Crazy, right?
That's crazy to me.
86, Young MC, Bust a Move. I used to love this one. When I think I knew every lyrics.
Yeah.
Your best friend Larry has a brother, Harry. In 5 days from now, he's going to marry. He's hoping you can make it there if you can, because in the ceremony, you'll be the best man.
Yeah, I kind of didn't listen to the lyrics. I just liked the chorus.
Beat of it, yeah. 85. Oh, man, this song kind of stunk. This was kind of a hippie-ish song. Yeah. Spirit in the Sky. Remember that? Norman, what was his last name? Greenspan? Greenbaum? Whatever.
Yeah, you don't like Spirit in the Sky?
That's a weird song.
It is, but...
I mean, I guess. 81, Biz Markie, Say He's Just a Friend.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was a classic. I saw Biz Markie open up for someone once, and he just DJ'd for like a half hour. Literally just DJ'd like songs. He was the opener, and he did his song last, and then the main act came out. I actually think it was Chris Rock when I saw Chris Rock. Biz Markie open up for him, yeah. 79, I think we've talked about him on a show. Putting on the Ritz by Taco.
God, Taco. He only deserved the one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wait a minute. I could swear he came out with another one also, and I didn't like that one that much either.
Yeah. I don't remember.
You know, that was a weird song because when people listened to it...
It was a remake, though.
What they really liked was Putting on the Ritz.
Right.
The original version, but it's just he was just the latest one that came out with it.
Right. 76. I used to love this song. It was by a guy named Jermaine Stewart. It was called We Don't Have to Take Our Clothes Off to Have a Good Time. But there was a line in the chorus that he said we can drink cherry wine, and I always used to think it was sherry wine, so I always used to sing that line
Easy
wrong.
mistake to make.
I thought so, but it is cherry wine for those of you at home. Number 69 on the list, Funky Town by Lips Incorporated.
Yeah.
Dee, 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 dee.
Oh my God, they used to play the hell out of that song in the 70s.
66, another favorite, Lou Bega, Mambo number 5.
That's a good song. Wait, Lou Bega only came out with one hit?
I mean,
he's a prolific songwriter. He's very good.
We know a couple other hits here at the studio that people like. I know Sweet Like Cola was another song he had.
He wrote one for a cartoon, and didn't he come out with like Mambo number 7 and 8 or something?
I don't believe he
came
did.
out with a number 5.
If I haven't seen Mambo 1 through 4 yet, well, Mambo number 5 makes sense. 65, In My House. Remember that? The Mary Jane Girls. In my house. In my something like that.
Those girls singing that?
Yeah. Okay. 63, Jump Around, House of Pain, right? Jump. 59, Tommy Two-Tone.
Repetitive.
Jenny, 867-5309.
What?
Yeah.
He's a good singer too.
Tommy Two-Tone only had one tone. 58, the Weather Girls, It's Raining Men. You like that song, Ed, man.
God,
you requested at the club all the time.
Oh, that song, I hate that song. You know what though? I mean, I don't like that song, but I can see how I can tell it's a good song.
Right. Well,
okay,
people,
I recognize
every
that it is
time
a
I
good
go out
song.
somewhere and they play it, I mean, the ladies are going nuts. They
Yeah,
break out
they
the
love it.
umbrellas
They love
and they're
Absolutely.
ready to dance. 53. I used to like this song, actually. Somebody's Watching Me. I always feel like.
I love that song.
Yeah, right? It was a good one.
Wait, who did that song?
Oh, shoot. Yeah, let me see that. I'm losing my...
It's just in his enthusiasm. He just threw the card aside. He's like, yeah, that song is great.
It starts with an R and it's a one-word name. I can't read my own writing on that one.
Oh, my goodness.
All right, guys. 51, The Proclaimers. I'm going to be 500 miles. And
They only came out with one. I feel like some of these people deserved a second chance.
Well, they probably had it. I mean, they had a full album that they released.
It just never...
I guess the second or third releases just never took off. 50, The Divinals, I Touch Myself. Remember?
Yeah.
46, The Cardigans, Love Fool.
Yeah.
Love
That's
me,
a
love
great song.
me.
Also, I saw a video of her in a concert once.
Mm-hmm.
And she was actually massively out of tune, but I still enjoyed watching it.
Absolutely.
And at the very end, she said the line, and I think she put the F word in there, really, really sincerely.
Uh-huh.
So,
Oh, interesting.
it was interesting.
That is interesting. Let's see.
I hope she's okay.
Probably. We'll look her up. 43, How Do You Talk to an Angel by a group called The Heights. They feature this on like
That's
Beverly
another one
Hills
of those,
90210. I think I put it on a lot of mixtapes for girls I had a thing for back in the day.
Do you know what that song always reminded me of? Oh my goodness. Oh, come on. Is his name Richard?
Marx.
This is another Richard Marx, thank you.
Yeah, I know.
Looking at the Moon or something like that. Well, I can't remember the name of the song. The Summer Nights.
Endless Summer Nights.
Endless Summer Nights.
That was a classic. And you're right. They do have kind of the same
sound
bass
like
line.
the same damn
bass.
song.
You're right. I never thought that when that saxophone hits in the same. Yes, perfect, Ed. They do hit the same way.
I want to know who ripped off of who. I think they ripped off of them.
It's like the same thing.
Play some clips
You're
for me to
right.
do a little comparo here.
That was perfect. 38, Me and Mrs. Jones by Billy Paul.
Oh, wow. Only one?
I know. That guy had a voice that was made for more than one
yes,
song.
Absolutely.
35.
I blame excessive drug use.
Yeah, probably.
I have no idea, though.
Bitch. Remember that song, Bitch, by Meredith? God, what the heck was her last name?
Yeah.
I remember. Hey,
Meredith Baxter Burney from the Family
before
Ties.
she went to Lifetime movie
Played
fame.
the mother of everyone.
23, Tub Thumping, Chumbawamba. I make a whiskey drink. I make a vodka drink.
Oh, yeah.
I get knocked down.
They only had one?
Come
They were
on.
talented for the 90s.
Yeah, but that wasn't going to go anywhere. Number 14, we're getting up there now. Groove is in the Heart by D-Light. I used to love that song.
Yes.
That was a party starter. Number 12, Baby Got Back, Sir Mix-a-Lot.
D-Light? That was not by the people who did Love Shack?
No, not the B-52s.
Those are two separate people? I did not know that.
And drum roll, please. We're going to the top 10 on this VH1 outdated list. Number 10, 99 Luft Balloons by Nina. I hated that song.
I thought you were going to say Bottles of Beer Only.
Still, well, now I'm up to 47 in just this segment. It's amazing. I'm putting them back. Number 9, Rico Suave by Gerardo.
Right.
Number 8, Take On Me by Aha. That video was always classic.
Hang on. Now, that's another band that I know for a fact is a prolific...
Why would
They're
you think
writing
that?
machine and singing machine.
well-
They only came out with a one?
Their video was great. The video was great.
Man, that guy's voice back then was amazing.
7, Vanilla Ice, Ice Ice Baby. I mean, of course it's going to
Now,
make the list.
okay, this list can't be right. I remember the Vanilla Ice coming out with another one
No.
that was not
Ed.
that
Come on.
one.
Come on, Ed.
I know. It was like about America or something. He was wearing like Patriot pants or something.
That was the Ice Ice Baby song. He had the Patriot pants on.
There's another one. Then.
All right.
I'm telling you, he did another
How about the Baja Man at number 6? Who Let the Dogs Out? You remember that one?
Yeah, that's a great party song.
And you know what? That was actually about, it wasn't, I think I mentioned this on another show, but it was actually the Baja Men wrote that about the unattractive girls at the club.
Oh no!
Yes.
Cancel them.
They're canceled.
Yeah.
Number 5, Tony Basil, Mickey. Hey, Mickey, you're so fine. You're so fine, you blow my mind.
That's a good song. That runs through my head like more
randomly.
often than it should.
Yeah. Number 4, Right Said Fred, I'm Too Sexy.
Oh wow, that's
Right
a different song. That's a different artist than the Barbie song.
Yes,
earlier.
it is.
Okay.
Number 3, Dexy's Midnight Runners, Come On Eileen.
Yeah, they only had one.
Yeah, that's it. Oh my God. Actually, I don't know who it was, but here in the studio, me and somebody else, I believe it was Katie. It was Katie. We were getting ready for an event, and we went back and listened to all the songs on both their albums, and they all literally sounded exactly like this one.
You know, I was going to say that. Oh, is that true?
Yeah,
That's
it literally, they changed the words, and it kind of changed tempo a little bit, but mostly it was just the same song.
I feel like a lot of these bands kind of do sound similar to each other, and maybe they could get together and do like a mega tour.
That would be cool. Oh yeah. Well, actually, they do that now. They've got like the best of the '90s back, where they bring out like Salt and Pepper and like Vanilla Ice and like all these like kind of bands and groups from
sense.
Yeah, they collaborate. We're down to the top 2. 2 was Tainted Love by Soft Cell.
Yeah, that's a good song too.
And number 1, the number 1 one-hit wonder on VH1's 2002 list, the Macarena. Los Del Rio. That of course was that for. But when that first came out, you couldn't go anywhere without hearing that.
And you couldn't go to any CD store without there being like 10 different copies of that song.
And you couldn't get anywhere without being ridiculed for not knowing the Macarena.
Yeah,
you had to know it.
That one
you
became
had to learn
so popular. That's one of those ones that became so popular so fast. It
Yep.
burned
It did.
so brightly.
It did.
That it just extinguished instantly and was never back again.
It did. A couple.
Actually, you know what? I think their original song was not that fantastic, but didn't a DJ remix it, and then that's what made it really
possibly.
good?
Yeah, you might be right.
You
might be right. Well, I was looking through the Twitterverse before we get to our listeners and saw a couple here that I was like, oh, wow, these are after 2002, because I wanted to get a couple on the list that, you know, we might have remembered from that. Somebody that I used to know. Remember that guy Gaudier a couple years ago? Now she's just somebody that I used to know. That's a true one-hit wonder, because we never heard from him ever again after that one. Len, Steal My Sunshine. That was a fun little song.
How did that one go?
Don't steal my sunshine. Boom, ba-dink, boom, ba-dink.
Okay.
Yeah, you can listen to it. Deep Blue Something, Breakfast at Tiffany's. Remember that one? And I said,
oh, yeah, I never cared for that.
And last one, Wayne Wonder, No Letting Go. That was also really popular, really big.
How did that one
wonder.
go?
Boy, I wish I could. I mean, I know it. I just got my singing's all off right now. My voice.
Warm ups there.
Unique New York. All right, so let's go to some of our fans here on the News Freaks social media pages here. I put out the question, what was your favorite one-hit wonder? Elaine let us know hers was Ice Ice Baby.
Okay.
Yeah. Leslie, Girl You Know It's True. We've talked about that Milli Vanilli hit. Although Milli Vanilli had a couple other hits.
Yeah, I mean, depending on how you look at it, they either had zero or several.
Or zero, right, exactly. Kanya, Crystal Waters, 100% Pure Love. I remember that song. Right to the middle and back again. I'm gonna be there to the end of 100. Yeah. Kelly chimed in with "Don't Worry, Be Happy." Bobby McFerrin. I know that made its way on that VH1 list.
He came out with 2 also. He
had some other hits. He's very, very. I think we've mentioned this a long time ago on the show, but very, very amazing musician, and actually very, very good to see him live. But that was the only one I think that charted really for him. She also said "I'm Too Sexy." She enjoyed that one. Brad, my buddy Brad, he loved this song. "Are You Jimmy Ray?" It was by a guy called Jimmy Ray, and it was definitely a one-hit wonder if I had to say so. We also had Rebecca. She texted us a little earlier knowing that we were going to do this.
Yeah.
She gave me a whole bunch she liked. Never Gonna Give You Up, of course, Rick Astley. I mean, that
he only came out with, I thought he came out with 2 also.
Did he wasn't he the Rick roll? He was the Rickroll,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Or is that
yeah.
what this
I mean,
song
that's
is?
that's the
Oh,
song
okay. Well,
there,
then,
yeah.
I mean, he may have had one other or something.
He
but
had another song.
Corey Hart, Sunglasses at Night. She chimed in with. I remember that one.
That's a good one.
She also said some of the ones we mentioned: Tub Thumping, Who Let the Dogs Out, 500 Miles, Come On Eileen, and also The Knack, My Sharona. She came out with. Now, Edman, as you've been sitting here thinking, any one-hit wonder stand out in your memory?
Who do you know the song "I Die Without You"?
Yeah,
Who
I do.
did
That was
song?
PM Dawn.
PM Dawn.
Yeah,
did they come out
were
with
good.
anything
They
besides
had a
that?
couple other Marginal.
They did. Okay.
I actually loved those guys when they came out. They were great. Yeah. They had "I Die Without You," and then they had "Set Adrift on Memory Bliss." Remember that one? Set Adrift on Memory Bliss.
I don't. What about Seal? Did he have anything other than "Kiss from a Rose"?
I think he did. I think he did.
I knew he was famous for a little while.
Yeah, I think he had a few. I came up with one. That's kind of a partial one-hit wonder because they sort of had a second hit, but not really. It was by a band called New Shoes, and it was called "I Can't Wait." Baby, okay. I can't wait. Oh yeah,
I remember that. It was the 80s,
yes.
Right?
Oh, great song. Great.
And speaking of the 80s, sorry, go ahead.
No, they also had "Point of No Return," so that was another hit in the mid 80s. But I'll still call this semi one hit wonder.
There's a song that goes, do you feel scared? Does that make any sense the way I'm singing?
Oh,
the guy wails, but back in the 80s they had the synths and they had the high voices. They could do it. They could do it all.
Yeah, I guess they could. But I have to say my all-time one-hit wonder is going to be by a guy called Mark Morrison. It's called "Return of the Mac." Anytime I hear this song, I still got to get up out of my seat. I mean, it hits really hard. It's a great song. You lied to me, and I was nothing. No.
It sounds like a good song.
Return of the Mac. Oh yeah, return. No, but maybe.
What about who did Axel F?
Oh, that was the song from Beverly Hills Cop, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That could be a one-hit wonder.
But,
yeah.
But did that same person do a song called like "Steppin' Out" or something like that?
Steppin' Out. Perhaps. We'll have to look that one up after.
Yeah.
But anyways, I thought that would be fun to go over, and it really does. Now I know what's going to happen. The next week, I'm going to be randomly shuffling all of these one-hit wonders through my head.
You know what we ought to do?
What's that?
Because after the show's done, you and me are probably going to be sifting through these damn songs.
Absolutely.
Maybe we should do a little a bonus content and just record it and see if anything funny comes out. And then just throw it out there, like a special edition or something. Like we Ed and Terry go through the hits.
Oh, right? You know what? They may get a little bit of a bonus tonight.
Now,
we're
can
feeling
we play
good.
this stuff without getting in trouble?
I think
it's commentary. We're talking. We're critiquing.
And I think
things.
if we say we do not own the rights to this music before we do the clips, I think if we do that for everyone, I think we're safe.
Yeah. And anyway, do these artists really have that great representation?
Honestly, they're probably going to be thrilled we're talking about them. All right, Ed, man, that was fun, though. There's a lot of those songs. And again, my singing voice, so it wasn't up to par, but everybody got the idea of what songs we were talking about.
Yeah, it's nice to be even a single weave in the fabric of pop culture.
It is. Well, we are moving on
thread
to random facts for tonight.
Random facts.
Yeah, October 1st, a lot went down on this day in history. We'll start in 1908. Henry Ford introduced the Model T first to the market on that day. Each car, how much do you think they cost at that time, Ed?
Oh, man. Back then, are we adjusting for inflation or not?
No, just tell me what the cost was at the time, 1908.
Probably like $108.
Ooh, gotta go a little higher.
Let's go.
But not quite 1,000.
Yeah. How about maybe $500?
It was $825.
$825. That's surprisingly expensive. But you know what? It's new technology back then.
Right. I think I remember I once may have paid $500 or $600 for a Zune at one point.
I don't understand that. Oh, yeah, the Zune, the Microsoft Zune.
We'll have a lot of people scrambling to their
Yeah,
computers to search that.
Did that come with a mini crank also, like the Model T?
I don't want to talk about it. I'm still bitter. And in fact, my parents are still bitter at the one Christmas that they bought my brother and I a 3DO. You remember that
my
gaming
goodness.
system?
The Nintendo 3?
No.
Hey, the 3DO was good. It had
it was great, but they just stopped making
Alone in the
games for it.
Dark. Was that the name?
I don't remember.
There was a survival horror.
There were so many great games, and I wanted it so bad, and they got it for us. And then, like, 6 months later,
they had the best incarnation of Street Fighter.
Oh wow,
Street Fighter 2.
Listen, they stopped making games 6 months later, and my parents said never again.
They made like 8 games or something.
Yeah, it was. I felt
bad.
Felt bad that I wanted because my parents paid like a lot of money for it. I don't know if it was $500, $600 or something, but that was like it was a pretty big chunk of change, and they thought, well, this will keep them entertained for the next 10 years. We won't even have to talk to them. And
lesson learned.
Lesson learned. October 1st,
You know what? A 3DO, I think it had a great rock, paper, scissors game on it.
Man, you could be entertained for minutes with that thing. Oh, God, I still feel horrible about that thing. 1971. Hey, your girl just went here. Walt Disney World opened in Orlando on this date in history, 1971. It's 48 years old today, Edman.
Oh, wow.
And she will just be returning from that beautiful magic land, right?
So it's only 48 years old? Mm-hmm. The one here in Florida?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I went to it when I was a little kid. It must have been like brand new back then.
It was 71, so yeah, it was.
Yeah, I went on Space Mountain, and you know what? I think it was Delta. When they were new, I guess they had to have a lot of commercial ventures backing them up and stuff like that. So they had a Delta. I think it was Delta ride. And I never got the theme song out of my head. This should have been a one-hit wonder. It went like this. If you had wings, if you had wings, if you had wings, had wings, had wings. And it was a projector on a white wall that looked like a tunnel. And it was just like a people movie. You're just like riding through the thing. But there was fans, some hidden fans, and it blew it through your face. And it was really cool. Somebody who never really experienced any rides before. And then years later, they had a Captain EO. I think it was there.
I do remember about Captain. Was that a failed venture?
It was a 3D.
But was that going to be a show or a TV movie
they were
or
to do
something?
A whole
that was going to be a big franchise.
And then I think Michael Jackson went nuts and started having sex with children.
Oh God, Ed, man, we gotta.
I mean, that's the rumor.
That is the rumor. But you know how I knew that? It was because I told you I read this big 1,000-page tome of Michael Jackson, and I know that it was a failed kind of venture.
You know what would have made it successful if he teamed up with the 3DO company and made Captain 3DO.
Oh my God. Imagine the next year I'm like, I know what I want to be for Halloween. I want to go as Captain 3DO. You ain't going as that asshole. You put on a scarecrow hat.
It's too low res for me.
All right, October 1st, moving on. 1993, Polly Klaas, she was abducted from her Petaluma, California home during a slumber party at the age of 12, Ed. I don't know
Where was Michael at this point in time?
No, this was not Michael Jackson related. This was a huge case at the time, and I remember she was 12 years old. I was only a few years older, so I remember this case kind of vividly. Over the next few months, this story received widespread national attention through shows.
What year was this?
This was 93.
Okay.
2020, America's Most Wanted. They did a lot of segments on this. Now, this is really crazy. Several days after the abduction, a babysitter on her way home noted a suspicious vehicle stuck in a ditch at her employee's private driveway. So she called the owner after she got home and said, "Yeah, there's some guy in your ditch out here, or whatever." Wow. The owner and her daughter left the house and called 911. So deputies showed up and they saw this guy kind of just hanging out in the ditch. Now, unfortunately, they had not had a suspect description of the Polly Klaas abduction or a car or anything to go on. So they did, after having him fill out a field interrogation kind of card, they did eventually let him go. Unfortunately, that did end up being Richard Allen Davis, who was the guy responsible for it. Towards the end of November, so again, this abduction happened on this date, so October 1st, 93. Towards the end of November, the property owner was inspecting everything after loggers had cleared away some trees, and she found a bunch of suspicious items there, including some torn leggings, they checked out like calls from that day around that area, and that brought up Davis because he filled out that FI card. After some surveillance for a few days, they arrested him on December 3rd, and the next day, December 4th, he confessed to kidnapping and murder. And he led the authorities to her body, which was, get this, 30 miles from where they were actually searching.
Jeez.
Yeah, so it's crazy, right? Well, they, looking back on it now, they said, well, I mean, when we were interrogating him at the scene where he had the car in the ditch, he was kind of out of breath. What he had done was he had actually put the body there at that property, and then once the cops let him go and saw him down the highway, he had to circle back around and pick her up, and then went the 30 miles. So the cops were right there in the place where he had disposed of her. Wow. So anyways, on June 18th, 1996, so that was several years later, he was sentenced to death for that crime, where he still sits now at San Quentin Prison because on March 13th of this year, Gavin Newsom, he put an executive order out suspending capital punishment. So I don't know how that's going to affect him. I mean, it's already been 20-something years that he's been sitting there. But there was some you hate to have something like this happen, but this did kind of force California to look at some offender laws, and this caused them to sign the Three Strikes Act.
They ought to go take that guy and bury him back in the ditch there. Terry, this is the selection you have for the trivia here? For
the random facts. Yeah, it's a sad story, but again, August 5th, 96, I said the jury did pass down the verdict as death. Davis stood, and I remember this vividly as a kid watching this because I was terrified. This guy was terrifying. Yeah. He stood and gave double middle fingers to the camera after the verdict, and then read it a statement later at a formal sentencing. And it's really kind of hard to hear, but it's important to show just how much of a scumbag this guy was. He claimed that Polly told him, "Just don't do me like my dad."
What does that mean? Yeah,
the implication being that her father, Mark Klaas, was molesting her.
Well, yeah. I mean, but is that statement reliable?
It is not. Mark Klaas lunged at him, and the bailiffs had to hold him back, who can blame him, really? Well, Mark Klaas actually went on to be, and he still is, a huge advocate for missing and exploited children. He has the Klaas Kids Foundation out there in California. His Twitter's @PollyDad. I've seen him on several crime shows when kids go missing, and he's always on the front lines helping parents who've gone through tragedies like this across the country, right? Unfortunately, one more tragedy we have to talk about. Ed, I know we don't like to do this, but 2 years ago today was the awful events there in Las Vegas at the Route 91 Harvest Music Festival. Shooter Stephen Paddock fired more than 1,100 rounds into the crowd that day from the 32nd floor of the Mandalay Bay, killing 58 people and injuring 422. It's the deadliest mass shooting by a lone gunman in U.S. history, and he did take his own life as the authorities closed in. To this day, no motive really known on that one.
Yeah, that's a really weird
It was weird. And I know we talk conspiracy theories a lot. There was a lot of conspiracy theorists talking about this. Here's a guy that just pretty much had a normal life, gambled. He liked to go and travel and gamble and whatnot. And then all of a sudden he's bringing a collection of firearms into the Mandalay Bay and shooting.
I think the number of conspiracy theories that actually are true is higher than what people think.
I know. Hey, listen, and sometimes you look at these things and you say, wow, man, crazy nuts out there. And there are some that are just bizarro, but then there are some that make you want to kind of investigate further, right?
Yeah. Hey, I got an idea that I don't think anybody's thought of yet. Maybe we could do a true crime podcast.
We'd be the first.
And I have a great subject that I don't think anyone's thought of yet.
What?
The Jack the Ripper case. Have you heard of that guy?
Man, what a real dirtbag, huh? No, I honestly, Ed, I had mentioned this to you before. Like, I'm a big, outside of us recording the podcast, right? I'm a big true crime guy. I watch the shows, I listen to the podcasts, so I'm familiar with a lot of these. And they really just cornered the market years ago, and now it's so inundated. There's literally thousands of true crime podcasts.
Well, I think we could put a spin on it. So maybe we could do crimes that weren't that important, like shoplifting.
It's
littering.
the fifth offense. Found her at a Macy's.
We could put all the scary music in the background, and then it's like, we're like
Covering
talking
new
about
ground.
this person.
Nobody would have ever heard these stories.
We're talking about this person
Yeah.
like it's the most important thing ever, and then it's loitering.
They got her again. Spent 6 days in jail. Came out and did it again. No, you're right though. But I had talked about if we had not done something like this, where I wanted to keep it kind of light and fun, and a lot of trivia and anecdote kind of stuff, I would have definitely been down to do a true crime type podcast. It's always fun, and listen, the listeners are there for the taking. They love this stuff.
Maybe we'll do a one-off and see how it goes.
We will see. Well, anyways, Ed, we're going to finish up today's show on a little bit of a better note
All
here.
right.
1962. Okay, we'll go back a little bit. I know we talked about him last episode. Johnny Carson. That was his first Tonight Show in October 1st, 1962. So I figured we'd take a look back on old Johnny there and see some of the things on his Tonight Show career there.
King of late night.
King of late night, no doubt, right? This is crazy to me. And again, you think about it and it's like, okay, whatever. He held this. But he had this job as host of The Tonight Show until May 22nd, 1992. That was almost 30 years as a late night talk show host. That's unreal. Here's something I found kind of interesting about the show. Paul Anka wrote that iconic theme song. They called it Johnny's Theme. And another interesting bit of trivia on this, Johnny actually wrote the lyrics for that theme song.
I didn't even know there were lyrics to it.
Nobody does, because they never used them, but Johnny Carson still claimed 50% of the song's performance
that's
royalty.
why he did that. Oh, my goodness.
Is that something
Johnny.
or what?
They did that. Gene Roddenberry did that to the guy who wrote the Star Trek theme song of the original series.
Yeah, because you always just remember the theme music, but never any lyrics.
Yeah. And he's like, well, we had to make money for the show somehow.
Wow. Isn't that something?
I
didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was a thing. Well, anyways.
And I think Paul Anka also wrote, didn't he write My Way, the big Frank Sinatra
Did he really?
hit? I think so.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
And he does a lot of songs himself. He's really good.
No, we actually, I believe we covered him in a previous episode. I don't know which one it was.
Oh, he did. Did he do Teenager in Love?
I believe you might be right. I believe you might be right.
Was he a one-hit wonder then?
No, I think we did. Actually, I think we did a random fact segment on Paul Anka, perhaps, where it was his
We'll
birthday.
have to go to the archives.
Yeah, we'll have to go.
We'll have to have our researcher. Maybe we'll get Rebecca to do research for us.
We love when she does that. Listen, we take care of her, guys. We buy her,
pizza,
coffee, lunch. Yeah, pizza. I wonder how that pizza sat for her that night.
We do share the pizza that we buy for her. So is that really buying it for her?
Listen. It's like the Three Musketeers.
We
one
buy
for all
slices
for
of
one.
pizza for her.
Well, anyways, Johnny Carson, his faithful sidekick, of course, Ed McMahon. A lot of you will know him from...
yes.
It's perfect. And also, wasn't Ed McMahon a big Publishers Clearinghouse guy for years and years?
Yes, Publishers Clearinghouse.
He'd come to your house and give you the balloons and the big check and see all these...
Yes.
Ed, who's the sidekick on this show, me or you? It's kind of hard to tell.
You know who else had the big yeses was Marv Albert.
Oh,
yes.
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 That should be a random fact segment. I'll look for the Marv Albert story because that was a weird, wild, wacky stuff kind of story.
Weird, wild stuff.
Yeah. Doc Severinsen led his band since 1967, considered one of the premier trumpet players of all time.
He was amazing.
Yeah. And I really didn't know that. I knew he was a band leader and I knew the Tonight Show band was popular.
Yeah, like his own albums and
but
stuff.
Yeah, he was thought really highly revered as a trumpet player there. Well, we'll talk about some of Johnny's famous characters here, Ed. I know you're a big... Karnak, of course, Karnak the Magnificent. He was the turban psychic. Gave an answer first while holding the card and the card was in a hermetically sealed envelope. Remember,
man? A lot of people have done Karnak bits. We should do a Karnak bit.
That would be good. Well, I got one of the jokes from Johnny's old episode. He held the card to his head and said, "Gatorade."
All right. Gatorade.
And then, what does an alligator get on welfare? Now, listen, a lot of these jokes were meant to be kind of horrible jokes.
They were horrible.
They were all meant to be, because at the end, doesn't Ed McMahon say, I hold in my hand the last envelope, and the crowd goes wild. Like, they can't wait for this to be over. Yes. And then Johnny would say something like, may your sister elope with camels. Weird stuff like that.
A curse.
Yes, it was a curse. Very, very funny. He had this guy called Art Fern. Do you remember him? He was an announcer of the Tea Time movie. And actually, Carson once admitted that this was his favorite character he ever did. It was based on a late afternoon TV host who also delivered commercials in between the movies.
Right.
So it's kind of a weird thing. It was before our time, obviously, but older listeners will remember. So I guess what happened was, he'd do a couple commercials, and then like 4 or 5 seconds of this silent era movie would play, and then the camera would cut back to Art for like him to do another commercial, and he'd be caught off guard, and he'd try to say, you guys are watching a classic film here, right. So I guess it was a pretty funny skit. He also had Floyd R. Turbo, who would play well today, I believe. He was a working man who would give opinionated ed pieces, slamming left-leaning causes like women's rights and things like that. He would dress in like a camouflage kind of hunter's outfit there. He also had Aunt Blabby, interviewed by McMahon. It was definitely a straight ripoff of Jonathan Winter's Maude Frickett.
Oh, okay.
It was kind of one of those things.
Yeah.
Ed McMahon would ask Aunt Blabby about like kind of elder issues, and Johnny would answer those. And then he also had the Maharishi. Remember that? The Song of India would start playing. He'd answer philosophical questions. Talk about things that you can't get away with all the time. Now, this might have been seemed a little bit.
I'm sure.
A little bit sketchy at the not now. I mean, not then, but at the time, right? So his final 2 guests on that show in 1992. It wasn't his last show. It was the show before that he actually had the guests on. Robin Williams and Bette Midler were the last 2.
Right.
And Bette Midler sang a nice rendition of one of her songs, and I didn't.
I remember this was and I'll be seeing you. This old
right
40s song
that she
World
kind
War
of reprised,
II
and Johnny was kind of tearing up a little bit. Yes. Well, anyways,
I'll be seeing you in all the old familiar places.
Yes, that's perfect. Good. Ed. The research department
this.
dropped the ball on that one. Well, anyways, Johnny passed January 23rd, 2005. That was at Cedars-Sinai Hospital.
Oh, and that show was actually not his last show.
No, it's the penultimate show. It was the one before it, because the last show was just
with
kind
a
of
guest,
correct.
Or a recap.
Yeah. So Cedars-Sinai Hospital, complications from emphysema. He died at 79. Now this, Ed, you're going to find this really interesting, and I did too. First we'll tell you that Carson was married 4 times. He ended up having 3 sons, all by his first wife. But his middle son, Richard, actually passed in June of 91 when his car went off in embankment there in California. He was taking photographs. I guess he was a big-time photographer.
Yeah.
Well, on the first show back, Carson kind of paid tribute to his son by showing a lot of his nature photographs, closing each segment as an intro and outro with a picture that his son had taken. And then the final scene was like one of his son's nicer looking pictures, which I thought was kind of nice. But days before he passed, like literally within that week, New York Times had published a story revealing that he would still send jokes to Letterman.
Right. Yes,
and did you know about
that.
this?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he actually believed that Letterman was the rightful heir to his show and not Jay Leno.
Yeah.
So he would send him
accurate.
He was accurate, but he would send jokes to Letterman, and he always got a kick out of it when Letterman would actually use them in the monologue, which was almost always.
Yeah.
He would. You get a joke from Johnny Carson, you're going to throw it in the monologue, right? Well, anyways. In the first broadcast after Johnny Carson passed away, Letterman delivered a monologue, and it was composed entirely of jokes that Johnny Carson had sent him that he hadn't got a chance to use. He actually let the audience in on that little tidbit later on in the show, so I thought that was pretty nice. For some of our listeners that might be a little younger, aren't familiar with Johnny Carson, he truly was one of a kind. He was an amazing late-night host. I mean, he's got to be a top top one or two.
Oh, well,
I mean,
everyone cites him as the person that they want to be like. And Carson's talent was that not only was he funny, he deliver a great monologue night after night, but he was a great interviewer, and he would really actually listen to his guests and let his guests speak, and you could get information from the guests that you wouldn't have heard if Johnny Carson didn't let the guests breathe.
Absolutely.
He really was a good interviewer.
Yeah. And that's totally, and you'll see with the late night hosts that we have today, some are good at it and some aren't so good at it. It's not an easy talent.
It's not. And, I find that a lot of the talk show hosts nowadays, they insert themselves into the conversation and they make it where it's about them as opposed to the guests. Yeah. And Johnny Carson was very good at not doing that.
Yeah, that's a great point. So, again, to our younger listeners who may not even know who the hell we're talking about, right? There's a great documentary. It aired on PBS May 14th, 2012. It's called Johnny Carson, King of Late Night. And it's a 2-hour documentary, and it just gives you an idea about him he was a kind of a reclusive kind of guy, really shy, not really outgoing, but you hear this a lot about entertainers and people in the entertainment field, that they're more introverted, that they don't really like being around people. They're nervous, they're shy. But that was the case with Carson, and it just gives you an idea of what you were talking about, how he was with guests, how he was with interviews. I remember, Uri Geller and the Animals. Wasn't he was kind of started kind of the animal oh
my goodness, what was that guy's name? Jack.
It wasn't Jack Hanna, but I believe Letterman did him. But he kind of started that, where the zookeepers would bring a collection of animals on, and he kind of pioneered so much in late night TV, and it's really worth a watch. It's great. I mean, it's a really, really enjoyable documentary, and I've always liked going back on it and looking at it.
Norm Macdonald said that Carson's last words were, he calls 911 and says, "There's a yak on my chest." Feels like there's a yak on my chest.
Really?
Yeah, that's not really funny, is it?
Well, I mean, if that's what it was.
The man's dying.
I know. But Ed, that's Norm Macdonald too, so we don't know.
Now we have to cancel Norm Macdonald for.
Well, they tried a few times, didn't they? Didn't he run into a Twitter controversy within the last year?
I think he did, but he sidestepped it.
Yeah, he did.
He was defending Louis C.K.
Yes,
right?
He was. Yeah. Yes, he was. Yeah.
And it's like, hey, you guys are right.
Well, listen, Johnny Carson is not going to be part of cancel culture, and hopefully we're not going to be part of cancel culture either, Edman. That is our show for today. Hopefully the listeners enjoyed it. I know I did.
Yeah, I did too.
Will you give it better than a C+?
Barely.
I'll take it. B- is good by me.
You talked about deaths that last time that affect us, and I said that I felt bad because when Johnny died, I knew I could never be on the show.
Yeah.
Did you ever have dreams now as a young one, of being on the Johnny Carson show as a guest?
Mine was more Letterman.
Right. Okay.
I was more, but I literally, I think I've told this on the show before. I had to be up for school by 5:30, 6 or whatever. I stayed up to watch and this was before Letterman had the prime slot. Yeah. This was when he was in the later slot. Yeah. And I stayed up to watch his show because I was such a fan of his, and I loved his comedy style, and I just loved everything about that show. So I literally would go on 3.5 hours sleep. I'd sleep through the first period or two. I didn't care. Next day I get home dog tired.
Fanboy, right? I would watch Carson, then I would watch Letterman after that.
It really was a big part of my childhood, just watching. Again, Carson, 92, I was 14, 15, so I watched the tail end of him. But for me, it was David Letterman.
Do you remember Letterman's 5th anniversary? He had Jay Leno on it?
Oh, I do. That was when the late shift, the Night Wars was kind of going on, wasn't it?
Before that.
Okay.
Before that, because Leno yet had not been named.
Okay, you know what? I'm going to have to go back and take a look. I'm sure I did, but I just have to refresh my memory.
Show. Well, I guess it's time for us to listen to some one-hit wonders, huh?
Yeah, well, we're gonna do that. We're also gonna play you out with a select one-hit wonder. I think Ed's gonna set one up for us at some point.
Who's it gonna be?
Well, we'll play the one-hit wonder that they've come to know and love first. We'll start with that one, and then we'll go with a different one. We'll kind of keep it a surprise.
All right.
So get us started with our one-hit wonder. Yes. If they don't come out with a second hit, I will be stunned. That's some quality music right there. Well, anyways, guys, again, interact with us, 904-300-2475. Catch us on Twitter at NewsFreaksPod, Facebook The News Freaks, and visit our website, thenewsfreaks.com. Send us some mail at thenewsfreaks.com. Edman, great show as always.
Yep.
You were great. For the Edman, I'm Terry.
See ya.